though, or was that your character?
That is me. No, that was actually me.
No, that's actually her. I used to bump into Bonnie and Lena when we were doing TV shows and they'd be there and she'd walk in like that, and you know me, the ringlets out.
You never did.
You're ruining us.
You never did.
Well, who was the character? Violet, wasn't it?
I did Violet Elizabeth Bott, and that was here too at the London studios. But I did that when I was 12, and then straight after that I did this special with Lena Zeveroni, and that was, as I say, an Easter shop, and we had a load of little lambs around, and they were very busy in corners doing things they shouldn't do, so it's a hysterical shot.
What is it like? Sorry, darling. What is it like, though, growing up as a child in front of the cameras?
Well, I don't really know. I mean, all I know is that the minute that I first went into a television studio at the age of 6, which was literally, I was on Opportunity Knocks, but it was just an experience. It wasn't, you're going to start your career. It was just something, an opportunity that I had, literally. And I went into a studio and I felt comfortable looking at the camera that had the light above it. And that was as much as it was to me. And I couldn't understand why there were all these other people here who were so stressy and so nervous and getting in such a state. And I took it completely in my stride, as children do, and as I think this little Connie will. But the only difficulty is that, yes, 30 years later, you're still being talked about it. And I've often said to people who are going for sort of serious jobs, for example, you know, say like the head of ITV, would he take along his nativity video with him? Yeah. No, but it's part of his life, having been, you know, that's what's got him to this place, but it doesn't mean to say he's still back there. And that's the same for me, you know, just because I'm here now doesn't mean to say I'm that person still 30 years ago.
And also I was reading that, you know, you do take, you know, Paul and BB skating as well, and now people aren't screaming at you, I'll scream.
No, they say you're that skater.
They see you as, which is brilliant, and that just shows how much you have moved on.
Well, it's great to reinvent, I
Yeah.
suppose. And a lot, of course, the thing about being young is that a lot of people actually haven't ever seen me young, because they weren't born.
But they've seen you looking lovely. They've seen you looking lovely, and we're so glad that you came on to see us today.
Thank you. I love coming here. Thank you, Carl. You're so great. Thank you.
After the break, which one of us thinks being a Mrs. Robinson is sexy, and which one of us thinks it's really quite sad? Back soon. Welcome back to today's Loose Women. Still to come, the lovely chap who's doing a turn and performing in Panto in sunny Stoke this Christmas. It's Jonathan Wilkes. Now, tonight, The Sun's resident agony aunt, Deirdre Saunders, appears in a programme talking about the masses of mail she's received over her 27 years in charge of the problem page and how the problems that people need help with have changed over the years. So, do you lot find yourself reading the problem page? Is that something that you tune into?
Oh, Andrea, like Beat Night, I love reading the problem page. The problem page on my horoscope, that's all I'm interested in. I love them in magazines, all the newspapers.
That doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
What is it that you like about them? Why do you read them?
I'm interested. I mean, I find them interesting, and some of them you read and you think, oh yeah, I felt that, or I did that, and so you're interested in the reply and stuff like that. And I love speaking to people. I love finding out about their lives, and I love hearing other people's problems. Stops me thinking of my own, to be honest.
Is that what it is, though? Is that why, do you think, why people read these pages? I mean, I can honestly say I don't think I've ever read that page in my whole life.
Why you haven't left?
Well, because I don't understand why you would be so interested in other people's problems.
Some of them are interesting.
In your own?
Some of them are interesting, as in, like I said, where you can kind of go, oh yeah, I know where she's coming from. Then others are just like, you have got to be joking and get a life type of thing. You know?
Do you believe them?
But the majority I do, and there's the odd one I think they can't. That must be a wind-up, because you just think no one's like that. And it's a bit like reading. It's like reading kind of like the Jeremy Kyle show in print, really, isn't it? Sometimes a bit. You think one person can't have all those problems.
But sometimes they can, and then maybe that's why they write into someone like Deirdre, who's she's an amazing lady.
Yeah,
I mean,
she is. Super.
I mean, for every person who's written in, there's about 50 other women who've got that same problem. So I think it's a good idea. You know, because you think, oh, right.
I wrote in once.
No,
not lately. I mean, when I was about...
Dear Deirdre, I can't find a man.
No, not to Deirdre, not to Deirdre.
Is it to do with my drink problem?
No, it's got nothing to to do with that.
Do you think I'm too bossy?
No, I don't read them at all. I'm not interested in other people's problems. I've said that before. But when I was about 10 or 11, I was young.
Yes, that's
and
right.
I had very, very young, a long, long time ago. I'm surprised I can remember. And there was a magazine. It was either Bunty or one of those magazines that was around at the time for girls. And one day I'd come out of a phone box, and this woman had said to me, "Thank you, son." I thought, oh no, oh, I look like a boy, and I had really short hair, and I always used to wear jeans and bumper boots, and it really got me down for a while. At that age, it all had a terrible effect. So I wrote to this magazine, and I kept buying the magazine, and then blow me down, they published it. It was actually in there.
What did you write?
I am very upset because I think I look too much like a boy, and I came out of a phone box and a lady said, "Thank you, son," and I'm a bit worried, what shall I do? And the advice, yeah, it was terrible. The advice, I was a bit disappointed with the advice because all it said was, well, you should grow your hair and wear a skirt. Which is actually quite good advice. But I kind of knew that I wanted something else. But the funniest thing was they drew a little picture of a little boy coming out of a phone box. And I was like, ugh!
Well,
So,
I'm the same. I actually really enjoy reading the agony pages. Sometimes, yeah, you can sort of empathise a little bit, and other times you think, oh, for goodness sake. But the ones I always read are the health pages, because I think there's a little bit of a hypochondriac in each one of us. And you read that and think, oh, I have that. Oh, I have that. Oh,
the
no,
question and answer ones where they
Yeah.
say, oh, I've got a
got an
giant
itch.
lump on my head or something.
that's
and then,
it.
Yeah.
And then I kind of get to the
I've got an
bottom,
itch.
and it says,
Get that one away, didn't I?
or it says, if you have that, go yes, and you go follow the arrow. And if it has that, go no, and you follow the arrow. Are you a man?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that can't be me then.
Yeah.
Right, next problem. There's something almost, it's like
but
picking a
just
scab.
like
It's
revelling in
great.
other people's misery,
Yes, I know,
like the
but
problems. I don't
we're
get
quite
it.
lucky because we've got a great network of people we can go and talk to about our problems. Not everybody has got people they can talk to like
Yeah,
we
but most
do.
people aren't interested, Jane. Come on.
She's not interested.
she's
I
not
told you so
interested.
many problems, and now you tell me you've never been interested.
Listen, I don't mind listening. I'm a good listener. I'll listen, but you know, I'm really not that interested. No, I'm not. But then most people are.
To me, I'll listen.
But listen, I do listen, and I'm a really good listener. But what I find, and the reason that I'm honest about not being interested, because when I tell people problems, all they do is interrupt with their own problems.
Maybe that's because they're
And
trying
it's
to
just
get
like,
over
well,
it.
hang on a minute, and I end up listening to their problems. So, you know, I think generally people aren't interested in other people's problems.
Or maybe just not your problems.
Yeah, maybe. I don't tend to tell people my problems because I know they're not particularly interested. But to read those things in papers is sick. It is.
And on that lovely note, yeah, actually, I think, Carol, it's just you. Okay, here's another opportunity to enter. It seems that a growing number of middle-aged, middle-class female divorcees are taking the plunge and plumping for men quite a bit younger than them, playing out the role of the seductive Mrs. Robinson from the movie The Graduate in real life. So when it comes to a dalliance with a dashing younger man, Jane, is there something to be said?
Hallelujah, sisters! Yeah, I really think it should be on the national health, as I've said before, because I think life is too short to worry what anybody thinks about you. And if you're going to get a bit of enjoyment for a young man who thinks you're gorgeous, then girls, you go for it. That's what I say.
I've just got this image. You know when, as a woman, when you hit 60, you know, you can get your bus pass and all this sort of thing. Can you imagine that? You get a note from the doctors and you get called in saying, right, Mrs. Jones, you've turned 60. You're now entitled to your free toy boy.
Fantastic.
Wouldn't that be great?
I'd say it'd certainly keep the heat up, wouldn't it, in the winter? You know?
It's not just that, you know, you're not really talking about toy boys. Mrs. Robinson, you know, the age gap there was like 30 years or something. And I don't know, but...
Bring it on, kid, anyway.
Yeah, but
no,
how
it
young
wasn't
is young?
30 years.
You've got to have a limit. You've got to have a limit.
No, he was 17 and she was, what, 35? That's not, I mean, not wrong with that, is there?
I think he was a bit older
she
than that. They were
wasn't
at university or
35.
something.
Yeah, they were, because in
So it might
America
have
it's
been
older, so he was
22
20, yeah, he
or
was 22.
something.
22 and 35, nothing wrong with that.
Yes, look, I've got no objections to people, men who are younger than me, but too young, there is too young. I'm afraid there is too young.
Which is
No.
how old?
Well, I mean... No, that is sick.
It's silly.
No, just, you know, maybe younger than my nephew who's 25, but even then I would still think there was something a little bit wrong with, you know, a woman who's nearly 50 having a thing with with a man in their or a boy in their 20s. I don't.
Well, I don't